Good morning, everybody. Oh, sort of good lunchtime, actually. Raw Belly Conversation this month concentrates on cultivating calm, and especially coming up to firework time. And I am absolutely thrilled to be introducing the most amazing lady called Gill Edwards, who is a founding partner of Pet Remedy, one of the biggest go-to essential oil mix for when dealing with stressed animals with and behavioral issues. So, there have been countless independent studies done on Pet Remedy. One was overseen by Christine Mealy from Animal Behaviour Centre in Manchester, and they trialled over 60 dogs, and it consisted of 2 consecutive trials. And the consensus of opinion was that the addition of Pet Remedy not only helped with training and behaviour modification, but also reduced stress in dogs throughout the study. So statistically, managed to get that word out, significant differences were observed between dogs on Pet Remedy and those on placebo. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Gill now, who can introduce us to her far better than I can. And here we go. So, Gill, welcome and thank you. So thrilled to have you on today live, and thank you for taking the time out in your very, very busy schedule.
Oh, no problem. It's lovely to be here. And nice to see lots of people, I hope.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But also, this live is, it's going to be on Facebook forevermore. So if people aren't about now, they'll be able to watch it later on at their leisure. So just to start with, I introduced you kind of. You know yourself better than I do, but also would
Yeah.
love to know how this all started.
Right. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gill. My name is Gill Edwards, and I work at Pet Remedy. I've been here right from the very, very beginning. In fact, before Pet Remedy actually came on the scene. I like to call myself the Chief Happiness Officer here because, I get lots of queries. I get lots of, maybe unhappy people who don't know how to use the products or worried about their animals. So my idea is to put that Chief Happiness Officer hat on and then answer those questions and hopefully then help with calming and, getting that animal to its best possible potential. So for those of you who don't know, Pet Remedy is a natural calming product. It is valerian based, but it's a very low concentration of valerian, which makes the actives work in a very different way. It's also mixed alongside sweet basil, clary sage, and vetiver, which is a grass. All of these have their own calming properties, but the main magic, if you like, in it is the low concentration of the valerian. And this came about because my husband, Martin, who probably lots of you will know, Martin Bartlett Judge, he had a cat, Tigger, who was huge, actually. I mean, beautiful, beautiful tomboy. Very happy cat, very relaxed. And then one evening, suddenly came into the house and jumped on the bed where we were actually asleep, woke us up with lots of meowing, and then completely emptied his bladder all over the bed. Now, it was a very unusual thing for him to do. And of course, I mean, not very nice for us either. This started happening on a regular basis. And we're not talking, a tomcat that's just spraying a little bit. It was literally his entire bladder. So he was obviously hanging on to, his urine. And as soon as he got in and saw us, he was just, poor little thing. Anyway, we took him to the vet and had all the obvious tests done to make sure that there was, he didn't have a UTI or he didn't have anything going on with his kidneys, anything you could think of. And the vet just said to us, all we can put this down to is he must be stressed. So maybe a new cat on the block, maybe there were dogs who'd moved in, and he was a real outdoor adventurous cat. So for him to be doing this, it was very, very unusual. Anyway, we used everything we could think of. We tried all the different things that were on the market at the time, and nothing seemed to help him. So at the time, Martin had a bath, body and home fragrance company, so was very involved with essential oils, so he knew all about those. And we decided, let's give it a go. Let's try and make our own. Let's do something that is natural, that is going to help that cat in as natural way as possible. So basically, that's how it was born. It was because of Tigger. Obviously, it took us quite a long time to get, all the right formulation, and lots of other people helped us. We had vets involved, a very lovely psychiatrist friend of Martin's, who knew a bit more about how the brain works when we're stressed, and anxiety. So the long and short of it was that after many, many months of fiddling about with all kinds of ideas and different formulas, we put one together, which the base was valerian. And we thought, okay, let's give it a go. Let's try it. And initially, we put it into a reed diffuser bottle because, obviously we were doing those here at the factory. So we thought, well, let's give it a go. It was quite strong, I have to say, the smell of valerian, if any of you have smelt that on its own. It's
not great.
Not great, no. And, I remember saying, oh my goodness, this is like, wet dog and dirty old socks mixed together. It was not pleasant, but we thought, hey, let's give it a go. Let's see what the reaction is. Anyway, so we had this reed diffuser, a couple of them in the house, and Tigger was actually really quite interested in it. He would go up and have a real good old sniff at it, and then he would be, rubbing his head against it and everything. But miraculously, the peeing on the bed stopped. And we thought, whoa, okay, now has he got used to what's happening outside, or is there some kind of correlation here? So anyway, we left it. And then one evening, he came in and was having a fuss. And wham, he did it again. He peed on the bed. And we suddenly realized that actually the reed diffuser was completely empty. So we then refilled it, and after a few days we realized that actually, whoa, I think this is making a difference. So from there we decided that we have to test this with other friends. Would anyone be brave enough to take on this smelly liquid and see whether it was going to work? So off we went, really, and a few friends took some reed diffusers, and then we decided to actually bite the bullet and get enough liquid together so that we could actually diffuse it through a plug. And actually that's when we realized that actually it was working on other pets as well. It wasn't just cats. It was, it was all mammals, really, which was absolutely fantastic. And then, so that's really how it was born. And, thanks to various veterinary practices who helped. And then we got, as you said, we had various trials and clinical studies to see how this was working. Now, the next kind of hump to get over was the smell, because valerian on its own. So that's why we ended up doing a few experiments with the best combination, which worked. And then as time's gone by, we've been able to adjust that so that it really isn't all valerian. So it does smell much, much better. The batches we have send out now smell really lovely, and also they still work. We can have less of that valerian and maybe slightly cover it with something else, but it is still really working, which is fantastic. I mean, obviously it doesn't work on every single animal, but the majority, it makes a difference too, which is
and that's the point, isn't it? Any add-on, some of them work miraculously, some in conjunction with behavioral modification.
Absolutely.
Really, really important to actually not just rely on one thing And different things work for different animals.
Yes, they do. And I think that what everyone has to remember is that that it's not a miracle cure. You're not going to plug it in, switch it on, and wow, everything's changed, because it won't change the behavior of your dog. But what it is actually doing is, because it's interacting with the brain, it is bringing nerve cells down to calm that animal, so they're more able to cope. It is building up that emotional resilience, which is what we all want to do. And as I say, it will bring those nerve cells down, so that you're able to then go in and help build up their confidence as well, which again, alongside Pet Remedy, is building up that emotional resilience. Because now also with more recent studies, we've discovered that there are more forms of modes of I don't know what word is, but modes of when the animal is breathing in those actives, that it is actually getting up to the brain, and it is going to the different parts of the brain where the emotional side is working, hence bringing, helping the emotional resilience.
Yeah. So it's basically putting an animal in a state of mind where they can take on information, and so you can support them better and guide them better with the information. So it sort of it's a huge asset.
Yes, it
but
is.
you say there haven't been, don't expect a miraculous result.
You
Well,
still
a couple of times that I have used it on various dogs during my consultations, that it has been incredible, the results.
Yes.
And so everybody's different, every dog is different, every animal is different, and it will take it on board in their own time, depending on the amount of stress that they are going through. But a colleague of mine, her dog was pretty balanced anyway, but he had this massive fear of fireworks.
Yes.
And honestly, she gave him a couple of sniffs of this on the run up to fireworks, a couple of weeks run up to fireworks, and that firework season was an absolute breeze. And thereon in, it has been an absolute breeze, and she hasn't actually had to use the Pet Remedy.
Right.
It just changed something really dramatically. Yeah, there have been fantastic stories coming in, but more often than not, I will always use it in my consultations and spray it on my ankles.
I think also, sorry to interrupt, because it's when they're breathing those actives in, it's entering the bloodstream through the nasal passages, so it's going up to the brain, and it's grabbing onto the GABA receptors, dopamine, serotonin, all of those emotional sides of the brain that we use, and that can send us off into anxiety. And it's really helping with that, to mold that and give them the best possible experience with your help too. So once they take that, and particularly with noise, noise phobias and fireworks, I know that I'm very lucky in that my 2 dogs I have now don't seem to bother about it, and the rescue cat I have, you just kind of doesn't seem to worry about noises. But we did have a Labrador that was suddenly, as she got a little bit older, got very frightened when loud bangs. So if there was a storm coming, you always knew there was a storm coming, because she would go and hide in the smallest possible space, and usually she'd run upstairs and hide in a shower somewhere to get away from it. And I think with fireworks, you've got that continuous noise. It's not just the bang, it's those weird noises afterwards. And I think for a dog, it's bad enough for us thinking, whoa, where is that coming from? For them, it's 3 times, 4 times, 5 times worse for them when they don't know what it is.
Absolutely. And of course, also the smell of the fireworks, that smell travels an awful long way, doesn't it? Even if the bang to us seems very much in the distance. Of course, dogs is phenomenal, and sense of smell is just sort of blows the mind.
Yeah, it can be right there, and it's so yes, so definitely. I mean, certainly with fireworks season, and I mean, you'll know this yourself, Caroline. It's always great to start really early. So plug in that pet remedy, so they start feeling safe around that smell. That really helps with building their memory for that smell. It's because right, when for us, I mean, something like freshly cut grass. I mean, that's an absolute classic one, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
that reminds me of lovely summer days and being at school, and then that beach smell and all of that. And so that's what we need to do for our dogs, really, and our cats and our animals. That smell, they want to associate that and build up something lovely and safe, so they feel it's a safe place to then just sit down and relax. And of course, once they feel safe, they are able to relax, and it doesn't send them to sleep, but because they're relaxed, they're able to actually just settle down and go to sleep, or just do what they would normally do.
yeah,
So I think we always say it's really important. We're October, start now, because any minute now, I mean, if you can even start earlier, it's even better. Any minute
absolutely.
now, we're going to have all this noise and chaos going off. With Halloween, and then of course you've got other festivals like Diwali, you've got
Oh, yeah.
Bonfire Night, then we've got Christmas, we've got New Year, and actually there are, of course, seaside resorts and places where they do wedding receptions who have these on a regular basis, even on
Well,
a monthly
exactly.
basis. And I think
Fireworks nowadays go on all year and at very random times.
yeah,
So
I
what
think
you're saying is that start using pet remedy when your dog or cat is just really relaxed, having a lovely old snooze, is just their normal, relaxed, chilled out self. So then that imprints that pet remedy is
it's part
a
of that
nice place to be.
yes, yeah. I mean, I think it's really important to start it as soon as possible, really, because then it is, don't wait till the fireworks go off. It is instant. So if you're using the sprays or the wipes, and hey, we could be out and about and suddenly a firework goes off in the middle of the day. We've all been in those situations.
Oh
Then
gosh, absolutely.
well done. So of course that's going to happen. I mean, obviously with the sprays, I would say please don't spray it directly at your dogs, or your cat, or even small mammals, or your horse. That's the other thing, is that we've got a lot of other livestock out there that suffer throughout this period of time. But spray it on your fingers, or spray it on a cloth and just gently put it under their chin, or just let them, I mean, always take that smell to them first, so that they've got an opportunity to just sort of smell it and walk away if they want to. No one must be forced to have it all
Yeah,
over
it's
them.
all about choice,
Yeah,
and if they need it, they'll take it. When they find it useful, they'll take it.
I mean,
Yeah.
animals are very good at, self-medicating themselves, and they kind of know. And actually, just going back to my Labrador, who suddenly got very frightened of fireworks and things, we always had a plugged in. And I think the older she got, the more kind of insecure she became about certain things. I think probably because, her ears weren't working as well as they had been. Her eyesight definitely wasn't as good, and she was a bit wobbly on her feet. And very occasionally I would see her, I mean, licking the top of the plug. Now, obviously, I wouldn't, say to everyone, get your animals to lick the plugs, because that's not a great idea. But she would just, it was almost like she knew she needed it then. So she would go
Yeah.
up, give it a quick lick, or you'd see her really sniffing it, which I think,
Yeah.
as you say, they kind of know what they need,
Absolutely.
don't they, really?
Absolutely. It's like, because as dogs get older, as we get older and we get more infirm, we become more vulnerable. We
Yes,
feel less safe.
yes.
And therefore we need more support. And dogs, behavior changes as ours does through a lifetime. So just because your dog is rock solid at 7 doesn't mean say it's going to be rock solid at 8 or 9. Things
Yes,
happen to
yes,
cause them to feel unsafe. And it's for us to sort of know our dog's body language,
yeah.
what is normal to them, and sort of go with the flow and change with them as they
Absolutely.
mature.
It is definitely about supporting them. and using as many tools as you can to help with that. So, not just necessarily Pet Remedy, give them that safe place where, they feel comfortable. I know that a lot of people around this time of year might make like a sort of den for them to go underneath, or a crate with a blanket over, and get them used to just going in, not to close them in there, but just so they've got somewhere where they feel, okay, I can go in here. I've got all that lovely smell, maybe of Pet Remedy or whatever you want to use, and just feel safe and cozy.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, because it's really good, I think, to have that safe place always, so it doesn't become something that's a trigger for, oh my god, something's going to happen. She's put that den up again. Yes. So if it's as you say, start Pet Remedy early, start all your desensitization and anything else you need to do, when things are calm and when thing is natural, and when also it depends, really on your emotions as well, doesn't it, and how you deal with stuff,
how you react to it.
So I'll have a sniff of that myself as well.
Well,
is it with Pet Remedy?
Yes.
Okay, you put it on a cloth so the dog can go and have a little sniff. You say you can put it on your hand. Is it all right if you pull a little bit into the palm of your hand for your dog to lick it off, or is it not something that they like to ingest?
I think really I wouldn't do that. I mean, certainly the sprays and the wipes are ideal for putting on your fingers so they can just smell that. They don't need to, the whole idea of this is that they're breathing it in. It's going through the olfactory system. It's going through their nose. So, I mean, if they do, I know that occasionally we have cats whose owners said, oh my goodness, I sprayed it on a towel and the cat's licking the towel. I mean, it's not going to taste great, but it's not going to do them any harm. They are water-based, so they are very safe on your skin and on the dogs too. So if you just want to gently rub it down their back, you can do that if they're happy with that. And again, a couple of squirts in their crate or on their bedding, or indeed traveling as well in the car and things, because that's another time when you may be visiting someone, you're coming back, and then wham, the fireworks go off.
Absolutely.
And that can be quite alarming.
And she say about the wipes. I can't find my wipes anywhere at the moment. I've got a whole box of them somewhere, but I always have a couple in my handbag or a couple in my pocket just in case. But you also do this lovely little sort of pocket-sized one.
15 ml, yeah.
So so many different products to choose from. It's just amazing.
It just depends what suits you, really. I mean, we always suggest, just have a plugged in. It's just very gently in the air all the time. The dog can walk past it. They can have a sniff if they want to. Or they can just avoid it, but it's just very gently in the air. That way, also, you're not having to remember to maybe top them up with a little bit of Pet Remedy. The effects of the Pet Remedy, once they've breathed in those actives and it's working, is the effects normally last between 2 and 4 hours, but it depends on the animal itself. Sometimes it's a bit longer, sometimes it's a little bit shorter. So that's where, the plug-in is you can just pop it in and just forget about it and it's there. And then if you do need a little bit of a top-up, if they are still a bit agitated, you can use, a wipe or a little bit of spray. As well.
Really interesting. Really interesting.
And also the other thing with Pet Remedy is that I know you were going to mention this at some stage, is that we've discovered that it works for mammals. It's amazing with birds and reptiles. Now the reptiles, we've had lots of kind of anecdotal reviews. We had a lovely one from a gentleman who had a snake and he just moved home, and he'd taken this snake from his house and he was temporarily living in a flat for about 6 months, but it happened to be above a public house, so a pub, and of course, the noise and the vibrations of the
Vibrations,
music
yeah.
coming from downstairs, he sort of hadn't really thought that one through. And he said, you know, the snake was becoming really quite aggressive and agitated. And he suddenly realized, oh my goodness, he's really stressed because of the noise. So he did use Pet Remedy. Now, he used the wipe, and this snake he'd take it out, and he'd have, you know, rub it on his hands so that the snake could actually get away from it and slither over it and everything. But he also wiped inside the vivarium where he was keeping, you know, where he was going to sleep. And he said the difference in this snake over a couple of days was amazing. So he bought a plug-in and just had it in the room as well, so that when he was handling him, and he said he really noticed the difference over a few days of using Pet Remedy with this snake. And he said, you know, the music could be blaring downstairs, and this snake was really quite happy, which is fantastic. So we are actually embarking on some studies at the moment to see how this is working on, you know, on the snakes, and also on bearded dragons, you know, chameleons, all those kind of reptiles.
Yeah, because you were saying earlier that a lot of zoos, a lot of vet surgeries and rescues are actually using Pet Remedy, which
Yes,
is a fabulous accolade to your to what you've produced.
I know
Yeah, yeah,
it's amazing actually. And you know, certainly for rescue animals, you know, who are really, you know, some are very, you know, the anxiety is so heightened, and all those changes and everything. And we have seen an amazing shift when they've been in rescue and been using it. You know, as we said right at the very beginning, you know, some animals it takes much longer, and of course it's not just the miracle cure, it is a
yeah,
tool to help. And
yeah,
you put that together with people looking after them, being fed properly, you know, having a lovely area to play in, and all those things, you add it all together, it really is making a difference, which is amazing. And again, with, you know, veterinary practices, more and more veterinary practices are using our products because it's versatile. You've got lots of,
yeah.
you have different species coming in. And something very recently that we went to a conference at the West Midlands Safari Park, which was absolutely fascinating.
This is an excuse just to go and have some nice times, isn't it?
This is just, you know, this is my thing. I just absolutely loved it. We spent a few days at the safari park and meeting lots of, I mean, it was for veterinary, you know, really, it was for veterinary people, but they wanted us there as well. And we had one of the head nurse, actually, veterinary nurse at the West Midlands Safari Park, came and spoke to us and said, I have to tell you, you know, where we've used your product. So they had used it, they had to do a procedure with 2 giraffes, one of which was they were doing a blood transfusion on this giraffe, and it hadn't really been done before. Anyway, the long and short of that was that she showed us this footage of them with their like tower, because of course, you know, they're so high up, and you know, she was going up this little ladder with her sprayed cloth of Pet Remedy, and was just very gently, and this giraffe was just kind of rubbing its face against this cloth, absolutely loving it. So, you know, she said they really felt it was just amazing, because rather than being flaying about, which is really hard when you're on a wobbly tower trying to, you know, get a line into this, you know, in its neck, they wanted it to be as calm as possible, and the difference was incredible, you know.
Yeah,
And they've used it also on other species there. They've used it on their lions and tigers, the primates as well. And she said it's just, you know, part of our toolbox, that when we know that we have to do a procedure for one of these wild animals, it just really helps take that anxiety level down so that they can then do whatever they need to do. So that was absolutely fascinating. We had a ball. It was lovely.
yeah,
You know, and for us as well to watch some of the procedures and things that they were talking to the vets about was fascinating. I mean, I absolutely found it really fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, I think probably now they had a fascinating one on fruit bats, on sexing a fruit bat. And I mean, I was just, I mean, I could probably do it now, you know. I mean, you know.
Well, you lead a fascinating life, all starting off many moons ago with your distressed cat.
I know.
Who couldn't pee outside and just let it all go inside. So, you know, Pet Remedy is widely available, but also you've got the most fabulous website with lots of resources, and all your studies are published there. So, your website, what's your website?
So it's very easy, www.petremedy.co.uk. If you go onto that website, there's lots of resources for not just the general public, but also for professionals. So there's lots of, we've got lots of published studies on there. I think there's 9 published studies on there for different species. There's all the trials. You can actually click onto them. So if you're really interested in how the science works with that, you can have a look at those. And we've also had some very recent research put on there by Dr. Robert Faulkner Taylor, and that's fascinating. So if you're really into, you know, the neural
bit of a science geek,
science, or you're a bit geeky with that, it's very easy to follow as well. So, you know, I mean, I managed to follow it. So I think anyone probably could, but there's also lots of other resources as well, you know, that you can have a look at. There's some things on noise phobia, and of course our lovely Andy Hale, who helps us with the behavioural side of animals, he's got lots of advice on there, and there's lots of podcasts and things. So it's all, you know, amazing, free to download and look at. And of course we sell our products on there as well. So
yeah, absolutely. No, a very comprehensive website. And well, Gill, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us and explaining about Pet Remedy and the benefits, especially in this run up to the firework season. But so start your protocol now, helping your pets be calm and stress-free right through. And there'll be lots more information coming in the following weeks. But Gill, again, thank you so much for joining us. An absolute pleasure. And I hope to join you at some zoo sometime for a tea party.
Absolutely, the chimpanzee tea party.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been lovely. Thank you very much.
All right.
And if anyone does have any questions, I'm the Chief Happiness Officer there. Do give us a call if you've got any questions about the products.
Yeah, and also if you've got any questions, put them in this thread as well, and I'll pass them over to Gill, and we can set you on the right path.
Yeah.
So until 2 weeks' time, when I'm speaking to Lisa Spector, it's goodbye from me. And oh no, you're that way.
I'm that way. Bye.